What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and yes, it's kind of strange to be making a video again. Real quick, I'll get this out of the way. I have mentioned in a previous video, I think it was the last one I made, that because of some extreme real life struggles and issues that I've got going on right now, my videos are going to be patchy as it is and not very consistent, not very regular, but I feel like I need to make a video to keep my sanity at this point. So it got me thinking over the last little while as well. There's a couple of things in my real life that had popped up that kind of got some of these questions going. And the main question I want to look at in this video is in regards to we'll call them, I don't even know what to call them, but just for the argument's sake, I'm going to call them Samey-long-grinding games. Now, sure, most people are going to probably attack me when they hear the games I'm going to list and put in and include in this, but I'm talking games that have purposely very little progression, talking around the likes of maybe Final Fantasy XIV, possibly World of Warcraft. I don't know, I've never played World of Warcraft, but I have played Final Fantasy XIV for a decent amount of time, so I know that the intentional restriction of progression is put on there just so everyone doesn't burn out straight away and max out their character in a week or max out all their characters in a month and then just have nothing to do. But you get the idea. But I'm also not specifically limiting this to MMOs. I'm talking other types of games as well. I don't really know anyone who plays any MOBAs. Well, at least anyone I know who does play them, I very rarely talk to, like maybe once a month for 2 minutes. So I'm not even going to count them, or I'm not even going to give examples of them in the long run of like restriction or whatever, but they do fit into the overall arc of what I want to talk about. So when you look at games that are basically like Dota 2, Smite, Heroes of the Storm, when you look at games like that, they also fit in too. For the simple reason is these types of games, actually, before I go into the whole point, I'm going to include some of the main ones as well. You also look at games like Team Fortress 2, you look at games specifically like Overwatch, and there's going to be a couple of others in there, maybe CSGO, maybe, I don't know what else it could be, but that's the kind of game that I'm getting at. So hopefully, across a couple of genres, you're going to get an idea of the kind of game I'm talking about. Now, the reason why, sure, I know some people play these for fun, and you know they might only play 1 or 2 matches a night for a little bit of fun, but that's fine. That's cool. That doesn't fit into the scope of what I want to talk about. What I do want to talk about is the people who play these games almost exclusively for a significant amount of time, almost every day, or we call it every day or almost every day, over a huge period of time. And they neglect other games because of these, and they neglect other games that they're actually dying to claim they're dying to play, or big hype for, or whatever it is that they've been waiting for years or months, and then they just stick on this one game the entire time. Now, there's many reasons why this came up, but one of the perfect examples is I used to play Overwatch. I used to play a decent amount of Overwatch. For a while, it was the probably number one game I played, not exclusively, but it was probably the number one game for 2 or 3 months that completely enveloped the majority of my time. Now, I grew bored of Overwatch for the simple reason is, and this is why I want to factor in stuff like in these games into this kind of conversation, is they're very long life samey. Now, what I mean by that is, sure, MMOs, Overwatch, MOBAs, whatever, FPS games, they usually receive balance changes every so often. 90% of the time, these balance changes won't completely destroy the metagame. Now, Overwatch is one of those games where the meta almost completely changes, or almost constantly changes, I should say. Not even with every balance update, but with every patch. Not with every balance update or patch, but just every maybe couple of weeks when people find out better strategies or better team compositions or better ways to use heroes more effectively, whatever it is. Now, I'm going to use Overwatch as the main example in this for the simple reason is some of my friends still consistently play Overwatch, and it is the main one in this video, but I do think you'll find that a lot of the points will spread into MOBAs, they will spread into probably MMOs and other types of games in the vein of Overwatch. But when you look at all these games that are very samey and grindy and long lasting, and the amount of content that some of them receive is very minimal and it's very spread out. When you look at Overwatch, for example, we have two new heroes. Is it two? I think it's two. I think it's only Sombra and Ana, ever since the game released almost a year ago. I know the third character is on the PTR. I'm not counting that. But as it is at the moment, I think we've got, what, two new levels and two new characters? Sure, there's been a bunch of changes, a bunch of reworks, a bunch of things like that. But it's all modifying existing stuff. And at the end of the day, because the game is basically the same kind of matches over and over, and the same levels over and over and blah blah blah. I know that you can argue that the game is different every time because of who you're playing with and how you have to play because of who you're playing against and stuff like that. But there is no denying that it can be very samey, and especially because in Overwatch, for example, all the rewards are basically just cosmetic, so that can be a bit of an issue. So when you look at other games like that, and when you think of, say, games like, as far as I know, Smite, maybe League or Dota, I'm not 100% sure on these. I know they have new champions and all as well, and there's new characters. Well, the characters are the champions. I don't know if you just buy new skills or if the new champions are radically different or they're the same type as maybe a certain class. They just have different visual effects or different. Maybe they have full different attacks or whatever. I'm not sure on some of the other games. But there is no denying that a lot of these games are samey the whole time. And I'm not insulting these games for being samey. And I'm not, if you decide to play these games and if be it, this is what you play the whole time or this is what you play once a week, cool, whatever. I'm not insulting you either. But the main thing I just don't understand is the appeal for some of these. Now, I know, I'll backtrack and give you a quick example. My examples will be, yes, I have played MMOs, several MMOs for years at a time, usually to my own life and health's detriment. But it's one of those things, at least for me anyway, I felt like I was doing something, or I felt like I was actually achieving something. But albeit slightly different in the case of MMOs, because you're actually getting progression in some way. You're getting new armor, or you're getting new weapons or new skills or something, and actually working your way to a stronger character, not just more refined on how you use it and learning more about it, but actually you are literally getting a metric that you can see immediate effects from. Like, you can get a new piece of armor that will instantly make you do more damage, or it'll instantly give you a new weapon, more HP, special effects, something like that. It's something essentially tangible, not just cosmetic. And that's why it's very slightly different, but the fact that these games are designed to be restrictive and long running and grindy, just in the case of MMOs at least, some of them, to get you to pay a subscription and retain a subscription so they can keep getting more money off you over and over again. But again, when you look back at other games, like, say, just look at MOBAs or first persons in general, the games that receive very little content update, and they receive them in very sparse intervals, as well as primarily only have cosmetics to look towards, or maybe even exclusively only have cosmetics to look towards, what can be the lasting appeal? Now, there's only, at least to me, in my mind, there's only so much fun that can be had to run the same, we'll call it 10 maps, over and over, several hundred times, over a couple of months, with varying differences. Now, I say varying, I'm using in a very light sense, because at the end of the day, there's realistically only a couple of different variances that you can actually have, because usually I don't find Overwatch matches to be that extremely varied. There's usually, like, because of how the meta game is and all that, there's usually only, like, when you go into a game, you might get one of 4 different play styles or one of 4 different outcomes. So it leads to the sense that because of the systems, the balance, the metagame and all, it can lead to it being so samey. And the reason why I want to bring this up is I stopped playing Overwatch at the end of, well, somewhere between the end of Season 2 and start of Season 3. I'm essentially going to call it at the end of Season 2 for the simple reason is I got Diamond Tier, and when I was in Diamond Tier, the Season 2 hadn't even ended and I had stopped playing. And I didn't do a single placement match in season 3, and season 4 just started. Now some of my friends still play Overwatch pretty consistently. They're on it almost every night. They play the PS4 version, while I used to play the PC version, but they are on it consistently almost every night. I'd say probably 5 nights a week they're on Overwatch, and they're playing it pretty much all night. All their gaming night is Overwatch. And I don't get that anymore. I used to understand it because, MMO addiction and whatever, but lately, when my friend picked up season 4 of Overwatch, when season 4 just started a few weeks ago, he started playing it, and he told me that he was starting to get bored with it. And the fact that, season 4 started, there were some balance changes, but it just felt like this. He finally felt that it was the same thing over and over and over. And he said that it might finally be the death of Overwatch for him. And that he was already extremely hyped for the Switch and extremely hyped for The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, this is pretty much what the two key points that made me want to make this video. One, he was talking about how he was finally getting bored of the samey Overwatch, and how he was looking forward to season 4, and he was so disappointed with a lot of the stuff in season 4, some of the changes and whatever. And now the fact that he has his Nintendo Switch. Okay, the Switch, it's Wednesday, the 8th of March at the moment. The Switch released almost a week ago. He got the Switch around noon, maybe a little after noon, on the Friday. And he's put about 40 minutes, if even. He said 40 minutes, but realistically, he told me where he is. He's probably put about 15 minutes into Zelda. And he was going on about Zelda for so long, and now he's still just playing nothing but Overwatch ever since Friday. And I haven't seen him play anything else other than Overwatch. So, it makes no sense to me. So like I said, what's the end game for all this kind of thing? Like, what's the long-term goal or the long-term grind if essentially he's just playing for cosmetics that he doesn't care about, and 99% of the time he tells me that he's not even having fun playing the game, he's just doing it. What's the point? And I see this with other people playing other games as well. Like I said, the odd time I do talk to my friend that plays Smite, it's pretty much the same deal. He doesn't know why he plays anymore. He just buys everything that comes out. So he's throwing ridiculous amounts of money at Smite, and that's it. Now, I know my friend who plays Overwatch, well, the main friend I'm talking about who plays Overwatch, he has only spent maybe 10 or 12 euro or something on the loot packs, and he doesn't even care about unlocking the majority of stuff, with the exception of 1 or 2 seasonal events that come around. There might always be like 1 skin or 1 emote he'll really want, but he doesn't even care about unlocking everything. He doesn't even care about unlocking everything for his favorite characters or his specific characters that he uses. So, I mean, I'm applying this to everyone rather than just him. What's the overall goal? What's the overall appeal? I mean, when you look at these games, sure, some of them are even more restrictive because some of them have even less variety. It's not using this to shit on it, but let's look at Team Fortress 2, a game that has been thriving for years and years. And at the end of the day, there is no denying that Team Fortress 2, it has much less variety, and it's a smaller game in general, but you get the idea. And I think Team Fortress 2 is hats. I think hats are the in-game currency kind of thing for, or the in-game unlockables or whatever you want to call them for this. I haven't played Team Fortress 2 in like 5 years, so you're gonna have to excuse me on that one. Probably even longer actually. But yeah, you get my point at least anyway. So what's the overall design on these? Sure, I'm companies are designing them to keep you going, but it's not really fair to say where would it be to draw the line. It's more so, what do these people get from it? A lot of them claim that they're just doing it. They're ignoring games that they're really hyped for, really looking forward to, and they're just playing something that they rage about, that they claim to hate the entire time or almost the entire time, or these games that are very content light. So I don't know. I don't get it anymore. I used to kind of understand it with, what would you call it, Final Fantasy and the MMOs I used to play, like Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14, to an extent, Phantasy Star Universe. But you get the idea. I used to play these games, and it, even though it was restrictive and it could get boring very fast, there was still a sense of progression and improvement. Whereas a lot of these games don't have that. Sure, you can argue that you can develop more skill or develop, more knowledge about the character, better use of the character's abilities and all. You would get that with other games too, but there's no actual sense. Wow, my voice went really weird there. Kind of had a little twinge in my throat, but there's no actual, we'll call it character improvement or character progression, and it's all just cosmetic. And I don't understand it personally, but I'm very, very curious for the simple reason is that it seems to be negatively affecting certain people. So, I mean, why he's been hyped for Zelda for the longest time. Don't get me wrong, I've been hyped for Zelda too, but he's put like 15 minutes into it, all because of Overwatch, which he's playing all the time now, complaining, says he's not enjoying it, complains about the player base, complains about bullshit, complains about the Bastion, complains about the incompetence of Blizzard and their like shitty buffs and nerfs. Like they just look at numbers and have no idea how they play their own game. But look at these other games that I mentioned as well. Look at MOBAs. Look at other, we'll call them competitive FPSs, because that's essentially what Overwatch is trying to be. And you look at all of these, and like, what's the deal? What's the end game? What's the? I won't say what's the point, because you can argue what's the point of playing any game. But these games that are essentially just a tiny, tiny treadmill in comparison to other games that are running the same laps over and over and over and over. Why? Is all I can say. We all have experience with some type of game like this. Maybe you've sat down and maybe you've exclusively played Call of Duty online multiplayer for a year. Maybe you've played Halo multiplayer exclusively for a year. We've all had a type of game where we've done this, where we haven't been 100% enjoying ourselves the entire time. Sure, there are games we play where we do enjoy them some of the time, most of the time possibly, where we have those rage moments, we have those great happy moments, we have the epic ones, we have the pissed off ones. There is what it is. It's going to be like that in almost all games, but this seems different, almost borderline addiction. And as someone who has lived through the, I suppose we'll just call it horror and extreme negatives of video game addiction, in specific an MMO addiction, which ruled my life for like 5 years, maybe more. I want to try open his eyes to not the fact that he may be addicted to the game, but I want to open his eyes to how he looks at the game and how he looks at gaming and all that as well. Simply because I don't want him to go through what I had to go through. I'm not saying he's at that point now. I'm not saying he's on the road to it. But I'm recognizing a bad pattern that looks like he could eventually, if not already is, at that point. So it could get to that at some point. And I don't want it to, because that, trust me, I lived through that. It's very bad. Anyway, that's where I'm going with this. I'll use it as an example, but in the comment section below, if you have any experience with any of these type of games in the long run, have you been sitting there playing, unlocking absolutely everything in Overwatch for nearly a year now, and then one day you just unlocked something, or you had a match or something, and you just realized you just looked at your controller or your mouse and keyboard and you just realized, what the fuck am I doing with this? Or, maybe you're doing the same with a MOBA, or maybe you're doing the same with another competitive game or a strategy game or whatever it is, and you just realized, I haven't been having fun for 6 months. What the fuck am I doing? So, if you have any type of broad experience with anything like this, or even if you don't have an experience, but you have a thought or opinion on it, throw that in the comment section below. For the simple reason is, it's, at the moment, because part of it has happened to me in real life. Part of it is arguably happening very close to me in real life right now because of that friend I mentioned. It's very personal to me in a sense, and I want to see what other people have said about it and what other people think about it, what opinions other people have on it, and maybe offer a completely fresh perspective. So throw all of that in the comment section below. hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter, details in the description below. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the rest of the videos in my channel. And real quick, I'll just say it one more time. I'm still trying to get back in the swing of things. I'm in a bad place at the moment. Thank you for sticking by me, and it will get back to the way you expect this channel, and better, to infinity and beyond, as a certain space cowboy says.